darkest when the curtain falls. Risk it all, hold nothing back. Seize the day, we must attack. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding. Only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies. The champions of a world that
All right, everybody, and welcome to Virtue Gaming's channel. I am Charles Elroy. With me is Moose, and we've got a great game in the Victoris Triumph series between Urgottem Poseidon and Virtue Gaming Ambition. Moose, how are we feeling about the games tonight?
Oh man, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited to be invited back to be able to cast some more Virtue Gaming team action. Going to be really excited to see what Virtue Gaming Unity is going to have in store for them. Now, if you guys are unaware, Victorious Triumph, it is a high diamond master level series. We are going to see some really high ranked players here on this team, and we're going to be expecting to see those plays coming through. A couple of things to note before we get started. Ari is banned from competitive play due to the bugs that she currently has on her kit. It is absurd. So she is no longer available. Victor is available because they were able to fix the bugs on him, and Yorick as well has an abusable bug in this patch. He can be used, but if the abuse of the bug is seen, then that will result in a forfeit. Regardless of that, the Jhin and the Gnosis hovered here for Virtue Gaming. Looking at the bans, though, with 11.3 coming out, we still see the Corki getting banned. We now see the Lilia getting banned on the side of UGP.
I'm surprised to see the Corki get banned. That passive adjustment is, in my opinion, it's a pretty big difference. That's a lot of time taken away from having his special delivery up. So I'm surprised to see that ban come out early towards Corki, but I have been seeing him get picked a lot in the mid lane in the games that I've been seeing lately. So it still kind of makes sense to me. I love the Jinx first pick too for B1 over on Urgottem Poseidon. She is just so strong right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you there. Like, you would be a fool to not take Jinx, who now looking at the Caitlyn buffs, who has become more of an early to mid game champion, has lost some of that late game power. Jinx is relatively uncontested as probably the best marksman in the game at this point. Jhin is coming through, and with that being said, you know, because you are getting this high artillery style champion, it does like kind of maybe beg the question as to what VGA is trying to go for. They've got the early game pressure from the Xin Zhao, which gets countered by the Lee Sin, so that's kind of a little bit of a watch there. And now VGA, they've got to make a strong decision in this R3 pick. They know that the Victor is going to be the mid lane for UGP, and now they have an opportunity to decide whether they want to focus more towards the early game or maybe go towards a mid-late game pick.
I mean, you've got so much late game carry on the side of UGP as well, though. Jinx, the way she hyper scales, Victor, the way he scales late in the game, you've almost got to lean towards that early game to try and set them back, in my opinion, so that you don't have UGP just snowballing faster and harder than they already have the potential to, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that maybe they've shown their hand a little bit here with this Akali pickup. Like, the expectation at this point is that it is going to be a tank Akali. I think, you know, Chem Tank is still going to be a viable option despite the adjustments to it. But also, like, fighter items in the top lane have gotten changed as well. So if UGP wants to go up against this Akali, which we're assuming is going topside, it can still go mid. It does definitely create this strange dynamic here where you don't really know how powerful some of these new item changes are going to be and where Akali fits into the top meta at this point. We expect that these players do have some opportunities for it. I'm really like, what really gets me so excited is I keep on seeing the Zeri hover. I know that Zeri jungle is a thing. I know that it happens, but we already have the Xin Zhao. I'd love to see Zeri get some play, some action in it. But with the picks and with the bans we've seen right now, I don't know if that's going to be a viable option.
I don't think we're going to get lucky enough to see her locked in based on what we're seeing so far, but it would be still fun to see her locked in. I do want to point out the ban on VGA. They got rid of the Lulu. That pairs so well with the Jinx that I'm so glad they took that out. And we're seeing the Janna hovered. I want to see if we get the Janna top lane that we've been seeing here in play lately.
It's the Janna Smite Flash.
I would love to see that. That would be so much fun.
Combo. It's there, man. It's so good. And they're gonna pick it. With a name like Urgottem Poseidon, you have to go for it. They pick the Janna first to get us excited for it, and they pick the Gragas. So there is still this chance that you do potentially see a Gragas support and the Janna's the Bamboozle top laner.
Unlikely.
But it can happen. It is unlikely, but it can happen. Now, Ambition has the opportunity to go for whatever champion they want to go for. They pick the Gwen into the Gragas. Akali's now mid lane to go up against the Victor. Gwen doesn't have the best lane against the Gragas. I don't think you're going to get the most value out of it, especially if UGP decides to divert resources like the Lee Sin, maybe a Victor roam up to this Gwen to make it difficult for her to really get into an early game dominant position, because once she gets that Rift Maker, even when she gets that Leeching Leer, she becomes extremely powerful. But
so hard to lane against her when she gets the Leech in there. She just takes so much of that life out of that damage that she's doing and the ability power that you can't step up against her anymore.
Right. But I mean, Gragas still has the opportunity. It is definitely a skill-based matchup. Who is going to have the better laning phase between the Gwen and the Gragas is definitely going to be a play. Aloios is going to have to play really well. And number 2, Ginger, great name, by the way, is going to have to also play, I think, really, really well to be able to get their team off to a good start. I think I'm really looking towards that lane to be the determining factor of who has the advantage moving into the mid to late game, because whoever has the lead there is going to be more impactful. If the Gwen is in the lead, if the Gwen is severely in the lead, it's almost a GGWP moment, because there's not much that a Victor, a Jinx, and a Lee Sin are going to be able to do to be able to stop that Hollowed Mist, unless they want to get into Gwen's range. So I think a pretty smart pickup there. Execution is now the name of the game on the side of VGA.
Now, as we're looking at the matchups and everything like that, we've got the Gragas into the Gwen. We talked about that a little bit. How are you feeling about the Victor into the Akali in the mid lane?
So, changes to fighter items, right? Like 11th or I keep on saying 11.3. I know it's not 11.3. It's 12.3. I'll get it together before the end of the day. The changes to some of these major items, there were changes to Chem Tank, which is kind of the main build that Akali has been kind of playing in 11.1. 11.2 has had some adjustments. There's been adjustments to Sterak's Gauge, which is now essentially a 3rd or 4th item pick, along with along with like Mama Mortius, the Gore Drinker got changed as well, along with some of these other major items that are going to affect the Lee Sin, that are going to affect the Xin Zhao, and are going to affect the Akali. Now, the Akali can just go a pure just damage build, can go that rocket belt and just get into Victor's face and avoid the gravity field, avoid the chaos storm, and make it really difficult for the Victor to have a really good early game. And that just brings into attention where these junglers are going to focus in on the early game, because they both have so much pressure and so much potential to be so impactful in the laning phase. It's now a decision of where they want to go. Do they want to maybe divert resources to the bot side of the rift? Do they want to divert resources to the top side of the rift? There are options all around for both of these junglers, and those are some big decisions that both these teams are going to have to make. And I think an option and a argument could be said that you should focus your resources on the Victor, because if the Akali gets ahead, it's going to be so hard for Urgottem to be able to get this Akali at all.
Absolutely. If that Akali is able to get ahead, not only is she going to, she decides to go to the tank build, but she'll also have so much access to the backline. You've got a lot of squishies over there. You've got Victor, relatively squishy, Janna, relatively squishy, Jinx, relatively squishy. They're all going to get blown up if she's able to get onto that backline. So you've got to find a way to make sure that Victor gets ahead and stops Akali from going to that point. But I think also with a Jinx in the game, she's always got to be one of your primary focuses. She's going to have such an ability to carry in the late game that you want to make sure that that Lee Sin is, I don't want to say babysitting the Jinx, but definitely making sure that she has all the resources she needs and all the leeway she can get to get those kills, get the CS, roam and be a potential in a fight in the bot side river so that she can get some assist gold, like be everywhere that she can to get that gold and continue to just get the snowball rolling for them.
I think if we're talking about ambition side here, like their composition and their strategy, I think that the Jinx is a little bit of a red herring here. If you divert your attention over to the bot side, you can find some good, if you can find the bully play out of that one, especially early game, because of how powerful the karma can be. And if you're able to find the multiple CC chain, you get the mantra E into the Jin Deadly Flourish. Like, you're able to get all the damage and all the root in, and then Xin Zhao is able to clean up those kills. She's just going to be, I think, relatively safe. Janna Tornadoes are going to be fine. She's going to be able to get the shield as well. Plus, she doesn't really have to play too aggressively in that lane. I think a play to go down bot side for Virtue Gaming might result in disaster for them, because they're not focusing their attention towards the Rift Herald, maybe. Like, I really think that Virtue Gaming needs to get this first Rift Herald. They need to get that first Rift Herald. They need to get the Gwen on the board, because if the Gwen gets on the board and is competitive or in the lead comparatively to the marksman for Urgottem, it's gonna be so hard for Jinx to be actually able to deal the damage into the Gwen that she actually needs to go for. And there's not enough lockdown at this point, because there's a lot of displacement, but not a lot of lockdown for Urgottem to be able to get everyone together. So Jinx is gonna have to adapt her build to be able to make sure that she can actually get the damage in, get those resets, and get those kills happening. But we'll see if it actually works out to be this way. I mean, these are Masters players. I'm not a Masters player, so they obviously know what they're doing.
That's what I always say. Like, I don't play at their level, so who am I to judge? I just cast it.
Exactly. But with that being said, we got a minute 15 before the game can get started on our end. We're going to take a quick break before we actually get into it, and we'll see you guys shortly.
Alrighty, everybody, we are live here for the first game between Urgottem, Poseidon, and Virtue Gaming Ambition in the Victoris Triumph Series. We had some fun little picks. We thought we were going to get to see a Janna top lane with Smite. Even after we loaded in, we still hoped for Smite, but it didn't happen. Moose, as the champions go out onto the Rift and they kind of 5-point out Sprawl, how are you feeling? What are your initial thoughts on this game based on just the draft?
I mean, I'm really, really excited here. It's going to be a very tight matchup. I don't think that either team necessarily won a draft. That was a beautiful enhanced Q there from Hawkster. So much damage. But, I mean, it's going to be, I think, a little bit, ever so slightly, favored towards Virtue Gaming Ambition in terms of the draft. But when I'm talking so ever slightly, it's like a 55-45 like kind of
just the slightest nudge.
Yeah, just the slightest nudge, just because of how powerful Gwen is, and because Gwen didn't get nerfed. Like, because she didn't get nerfed, it's a buff. Like, because none of the champions that got buffed are actually in the game. So that would be Gwen or the Lilia. However, with that being said, despite that first play and all that damage that Hawks was able to get, they do have the ability over on Urgottem to drop that ward. They're gonna see that Captor decided to go for the red side build first, gonna be caught at the Raptors, and so it's gonna give a little bit of information over to Skinless Ape and for Akalora.
And we do notice the junglers, like you said, starting opposite sides, so they're not going to run into each other. Nothing too fun going to happen around Scuttle around that 3-minute 15 mark, which is always sad because I like a good jungle fight to get the game started. It makes for an interesting game. But both these sides getting started, nothing too crazy going on yet. Looking forward to watching this bot lane, though. Strong poke coming out of Hawkstra on that Karma. I want to see how the Janna can answer that. It looks like the tornadoes, even though they're moving faster, still easier to dodge than that Q coming out of the Karma there.
Oh, absolutely. Hawkstra, has been really pinpoint on these plays and just continues to find them. But this is something very interesting here because Capture is going for the Grump first. He's not gone for Wolves. It means that he's going to have a very early level 3 and could go in for a gank very quickly up against Skinless Ape and Akalora. So they've got to be careful and keep an eye on the pathing that the Xin Zhao decides to go for.
And it looks like Lee Sin going to the top side. Terry Yi going in here, trying to make a play on to number 2 Ginger. Dives in, some damage coming down. Now remember, she doesn't have flash, so she's very likely going to give over first blood here. She is, and it's going to be Lee Sin that locks it up. Terry Yi getting that first blood on the Gwen, just a little overextended there.
Yeah, despite having the good damage early on for Hawkstra, having the information is so much more important because they knew that Capture went topside. They had the just opportunity that Perry was able to just go in for that gank, and she was too far ahead knowing that her jungler was bot side, and she's going to get in trouble early on. That's going to delay the ticking time bomb that the Gwen has and really now puts Virtue Gaming Ambition on the back foot for the first couple of minutes here.
And it's going to make that Lee Sin even more of a threat. You gave first blood over to Lee Sin, which means on his first back, he's going to feel a little bit better, and he might be able to help get that gold lead spread around to some other lanes. So you definitely don't want that if you're on the side of Team Ambition, not Team Ambition, Virtue Gaming over here.
Right. Now, shout out to Team Ambition as well. I've casted some of them before. I get it. But yeah. No, Virtue Gaming, shout out. That's the play. I definitely agree with you there. And I want to ask you, some of the changes that have been made to the fighter items. Gore Drinker has changed. Dara Gage was changed. Malma Mortius, massive buff, as well as Blade of the Ruined King, mostly considered maybe a second item here, along with Death's Dance as well and Divine Sunderer. Do you think that Perry still goes the Gore Drinker, or is there maybe another option for him?
If I'm going to be honest with you, I would assume that he's still going to go the Gore Drinker. I just think that it's so strong for when you're into some of those camps to clear out, to get rid of them quickly, to help push a lane, and if you're in a team fight, especially if you dive in as a Lee Sin. So I think it's going to still be a Gore Drinker, but I'm excited to see if he goes something differently. He does go the Iron Whip, so it looks like that's going to be the choice.
Yeah, Iron Spike whipped here for sure. He can go for the Stride Breaker a little bit because the Gore Drinker got practically nerfed. Stridebreaker now maybe having an opportunity here, but maybe looking for his first gank of the game here. Capture is, as they find the root.
He comes down. Capture looking to make a move. The traps go down out of Jinx. Alkalor is going to get blown up. Flash is over. Capture keeping the attack going, taking some turret shots, and the damage is going to come through. That's going to be a double kill. It goes over to Karma, though. It's going to be Karma carry here.
I'm not mad at that. Capture can really put in the damage early on, and unfortunately, yeah, you would love to see that play and those kills go over to Loki Dosi, but a lot of damage on the Sloth, though, almost in trouble. The Ignite
still ticking down on him, yeah.
Barely, though.
He's going to stay, and he's going to make sure he gets at least this cannon before he does anything too crazy there. But yeah, great job out of Chapanya fan doing some damage onto that Victor, putting him on the back foot and making sure that he cannot step up to do anything here.
Pretty big as well, is a little bit behind in CS, but as the melee in a range melee mid lane fight, you are expected to have a little bit of a less impact earlier in the game in terms of CS. But now that you have perfect execution, now that you're able to get that back and maybe get some presence in, it does give them the opportunity to maybe be a little bit more safe. A little bit of a disappointing back, I would say. They only picked up the ruby crystal there, so not necessarily getting a lot out of that play, but still being able to put Sloth on the back burner. Unfortunately, because he stays in and doesn't get punished for staying, it really doesn't work out to too much and ends up just being a wash.
No, and he's up almost 3 waves on her now at this point. So he's going to come back. He's got the full lost chapter on himself. So he's going to be definitely somebody to worry about if you're going into the mid lane now.
And right now, with capture, looks like he is uncontested at the Ocean Drake. That's a pretty powerful first Drake to get, which inevitably is actually going to help Japania fan a lot be able to sustain in this lane against Sloth if they are able to get it. Doesn't look like there really is any contest here for it. So first Drake going to go over towards Virtue Gaming Ambition, but it could have been scary had anyone gone and checked him out.
And I do want to point out, great job. Oh, we got a dive coming in here. Loki Dosi barely going to get away. Is that Q going to be up in a second? No, but he hops over, does some damage, looking to make it through, and the flash comes out. He gets the kill onto Jin. Nice little play there from Terry Yee.
Yeah, would rather not risk letting him get away due to a missed sonic wave. And so he's just going to go in for the flash, uses just everything to be able to pick up that kill, and puts Loki Dosi a little bit further behind. He didn't get anything out of the initial double kill except for that one assist, but he also picks first by Boots of Swiftness, so has the extra mobility. There's not a lot of pure CC on the side of Urgottem, except for, like I said, the gravity field and the Dragon's Rage potentially. So the ability to be able to get away from some of those slows is going to be pretty impactful there, and I think we've seen that come into more prominence, especially overseas as well.
Yeah, I think it's a good buy because you've got the Janna who's going to be laying down some CC, even though it's not hard CC. You've got the slow coming through. You've got the knockup coming through. You've got the displacement coming through with her ult once she's online. And you've even got the Gragas. If he makes a TP roam down there, you want to be able to get out of the way of the knockup coming out of him and other things. So not a bad idea on his part. I did want to point out, we got another thing going on here. Fight breaking down. Hawks are taking some damage early. Skin the Safe going to get blown up, though, as it is going to be Loki Dosi that gets the kill there, finally on the board with 1 kill and putting out some damage. He hurts when he hits him, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah. And the Mantrid Qs from Hawkster just continuing to be super impactful. The extra slowing field, the extra damage, whittling them down. Really putting in a punch there and packing it really aggressively as he tries to go for the curtain call as well. I'd like to see if he actually gets the kill onto Akalora. He gets one hit. Does he get the second one? No, they walk.
Chapania, I was about to say, Chapania fan not able to get that execute off and get the death, but he does put Sloth off and definitely been poking him out strong here. For somebody that's ranged into melee, he's starting to catch up that CF's difference. He's starting to do a lot of damage, and I want to see Victor become a little bit more impactful in this game. It feels like he's just been underneath turret the whole time. Now we've got Terry Yee taking some damage, uses the ult just to get that Akali away. Stun comes through, but too little, too late. It is going to be Hawkster, who is on the board again with a kill, finds himself 3-0-1.
Early game bully Hawkster is, and because Janna isn't necessarily the biggest bully in lane, and then you're pairing it with the Jinx, who, again, not necessarily super impactful early in the game, it's resulting in Hawkster being able to get that nice roam and to be able to pick up a kill on to Parayi, not only denying access to the Rift Herald, but then also just making the lead ever so slightly bigger for Virtue Gaming Ambition. They're having a phenomenal early game, and their snowball is there.
Chapania going in. Some damage coming through. We get taken away. It looks like he made it under turret, and he is going to survive for now.
He had to flash away, unfortunately, though.
I just looked over and saw that. He drops the ult just to try and keep some damage off of there. just to clear up this last little minion wave. It doesn't really connect too much with Chapanya, but the Ignite comes through. That's going to be a trade out in the mid lane. Great job from Tara Lee, though, to make the move and be up there at the right place, right time to at least get that kill back over onto Chapanya fan.
Yeah, a little bit ambitious there. I mean, wanted to go in for the Ignite. Hawkster in trouble maybe a little bit here, or maybe actually is trying to go in for the bait. Still just so powerful now. 3-0-1. Has the Bandle Glass Mirror for that extra little bit of utility. And picks up early cooldown boots, so is going to just be able to pop all of that damage and all of that power much quicker than she normally did. And again, really strong early game from Ambition as the root lands.
There it is. Skinless Ape does get rooted. The distortion comes through. She is going to get locked down. Hawkster again with another kill. Akalora trying to get away. Monteroot not able to land, and that's going to be one kill again going over to Hawkster.
Hey, you know, I told you, carry Karma. It's happening. Once she got that double kill, and she hasn't been punished for her aggressive plays and the bullies that Hawkster has been able to get out of this, though. Nice missed.
There it is. The knockup comes through. It is able to get cleared. Number two Gender just gets blown up there at the end, not able to do any kind of escape, and Tara Yee finds himself at 4-1-0 on the map as well. You've got two carries. You've got the Lee Sin versus the Karma.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what it comes down to.
I mean, at this point, like, Karma is pretty powerful in terms of the kills, but doesn't necessarily have a lot of CS. The power isn't there, but Akalora is just going to die here. I don't think that she gets out of this one.
Nope, I don't think it's going to be anything there. It is going to be the Jen ult that connects, though. Jen finally getting a kill. Hawkster was looking for it, and he said, leave one for me, please. We've got a 3v3 breaking out here in the tri-bush. Both teams dancing around. We've got Chapanya fan coming through. The E doesn't connect. Terry Yee trying to get away. Might get blown up here. Skinless Ape trying to provide some assistance. Might be too little too late. Flash used, and it is going to be a kill going over to Captor onto that Lee Sin. They're trying to follow up on Captor. The W does connect. He's slowed, but it's not going to make a difference. That is going to be a great play coming out of Virtue Gaming there. They are going to drop the Rift Herald as well and look to make a move on the second Drake of the map.
Yeah, now with Parayi dead, the dragon is fairly easy to get, and now you're also going to be able to apply pressure to the bottom side of the rift, which only gets the turret plating, the original turret plates that they get. Loki Doki just going to continue to deal that damage.
Yeah, Loki Doki just tearing through Allura Core. Not able to finish it up here, it looks like. The exhaust used just to keep him at bay. But that damage is starting to really get intense with that Gale Force completed, and he finds himself 2-1-3 now. So he was just a little boy a couple of minutes ago, but he is growing up quickly.
Yeah, I mean, picking up the Gale Force early on, has the 20 CS, and now maybe in trouble. Slot
Teleport
and
comes through. It is going to be Chapanya fan in the area now. They find themselves in a 3v2. Chapanya fan immediately getting some damage there, but is able to lock up the kill on the Victor. And that's going to be a Victor falling as well. Now you've got number 2 Ginger just going to go ahead and lock up the scuttle and walk away from it all.
Yeah, so it ends up being a 1-for-1 there, and the strategy from Urgottem has been just lay the pressure onto number 2 Ginger and make sure that she can't get going, and they have achieved that objective. Ginger is now 0-2-1, not yet with the Rift Maker comparatively to the Turbo Chem Tank. The necessarily, I think, buff Turbo Chem Tank for Aloyos with this tank build is going to be really strong for them, but now maybe
Capture Hawkster in the area. Gonna just go ahead and push him off the lane. Nothing too crazy. We won't see a dive, will we? No, we're not gonna see a dive.
I doubt it. Doubtful, he says.
I got excited for a second. 3 members, the wave pushing in. I wanted to see something exciting. I'm like that kid in Incredibles. I just want to see something awesome.
Well, you know, me too. I like seeing the awesome plays. And, I mean, so far, though, I'm really been impressed with Ambition's just tenacity throughout this play, throughout this fight, and Capture being paid dividends throughout the game by putting in pressure, not only in the mid lane, but then also to bot lane as well. Hawkster 4-0-4 has the Moonstone Renewer. You got a 2-1-3 Jin with that Gale Force, is on his way to second item as well. So you've got a carry in Loki Dosi online and is ready to really pack a punch in these next important fights, but also you've got the opportunity to see, what the rest of the team can now do. It puts pressure away from Ginger and Campania fan to be able to get back really into this game. The CS is only within 12 against Sloth now for this victor, so Campania fan is really right back into it, has probably more gold than Sloth does because of those 2 kills. And on top of that, number 2 Ginger now has that Rift Maker, so we're in a pretty scary situation here for Urgottem Poseidon.
And Virtue Gaming, I want to point out, the Loki Doxy now has an item and a half. He's feeling really strong, or almost 2 items, as he's feeling really strong in comparison to that Jinx, who just completed her Gale Force not more than a minute ago. So he's going to be really feeling powerful if they bounce into each other in these team fights in comparison to that Jinx. Like you said, though, I want to give a shout out to Captor and to Hawkster. A great job of allowing their team to get that gold, spread it around, and make sure that everybody, like you mentioned, is able to do something and kind of have some pressure there. On the side of Urgottem Poseidon, you've got that Lee Sin, 5 kills. Nobody else has a kill. Nobody else has a nice share of that gold. So he's got to be the one that's kind of spreading around, and it just hasn't happened yet. So very good plays and great teamwork out of the side of Virtue Gaming.
So with this being said, as looks like we might be getting a fight here, let's on to you.
Kalora taking some damage there. Chapanya fan is going to get engaged on by the Lee Sin. We've got a fight breaking out. Wave coming in mid lane. Terry taking some damage. Akalora also taking some damage. Will get the kill on. Ooh, double kill. Triple kill. Oh my gosh.
Sniper.
Beautiful job out of Loki Dosi. Gets the triple kill with his ult. That's going to be captive volleying as well. A trade out in the bottom there. But beautiful job from Jen there. Just 3 dead shots in a row, locks him down, gets 3 kills with his ult, and beautiful job out of Loki Dosi. That's going to be his second item easily right there.
That is a highlight play for Loki Dosi right there, and
somebody
that was
clip that.
So good for him. Beautiful curtain call, and everyone was so low because Japania fan and Captor were able to find them out of position. Unfortunately for Urgottem, they took the bait against Campania fan. They didn't think that anyone was there to help them out, and Captor, with a great Crescent Guard, was able to mitigate a lot of the damage. Japania fan was able to get away from the Chaos Storm, the Gravity Field, and was able to survive that fight entirely. So beautiful plays all around from Virtue Gaming Ambition. That is such a statement play because the lead now just balloons up to a massive position. Loxi Dosi with that rapid fire cannon as well. They drop the Rift Herald to maybe try to relieve some pressure, but they're just gonna get the headbutt, and that is it. The dragon is now up for grabs as well, and this could be the beginning of the end for Urgottem Poseidon in game 1.
I have to agree with you. You don't get the turret in return for the Rift Herald there. Way too late for plates, as those have dropped almost 5 minutes back now. You've got all the pressure coming into your base. You're losing these team fights. You've got Drakes down, and they're about ready to get on Soul Point here. If you're on the side of Urgottem Poseidon, what are you trying to do to get... Oh, we could have a kill here, at least going over to, guess who? Terry Yee. Manages to lock up the kill on Chapanya fan, just a little too low, hanging out in that bot lane too long. Now we've got a teleport coming through. Number 2 Ginger getting dove here. They're trying to turn it around. Number 2 Ginger looking to at least trade over a kill here. She might be able to do it. That's going to be a turnaround. They at least get the Janna there. Curtain Call doesn't quite connect with anybody. Follow-up coming through. Loxi Doxi trying to get onto Sloth here. Not able to do it. Alurios going in. Gets blown up for it. Now Skinless in a 3v1, very likely going to fall here as well. And that dive that looked so good for Urgottem Poseidon turned immediately into a 3-2 advantage for Virtue Gaming.
The power of Hollowed Mist. Capture is in trouble. Parry kind of come through, but Loki Doxi with the Gale Force just continuing to be so powerful. He does get shut down, and Parry will fall. The ace is there for you, or for Ambition, but hallowed mist from number 2 Ginger in that last fight, paying so much dividends. Skinless Ape had no skin in the game in that dive because the hallowed mist denied all of that damage. Gwen was immune. Gwen was immune. Gwen was immune. So she was able to survive long enough to drop a full needlework, get everyone solo, and make sure that the rest of Ambition was able to finish the job and pick up those kills. Another really solid performance from Loki Dosi and continuing to keep the pressure going.
And VGA is just doing such a great job of being in the right place at the right. Oh, big damage coming out of Chapanya Fan on Skinless Ape. Flash to get away. W misses, but it's still going to be Chapanya Fan that locks up the kill, and that's going to be the bot lane duo for Urgottem Poseidon falling here. And they've got a lot of pressure now. And the fight may continue to go on as Captor's in the enemy jungle here. Connects over. Lee Sin, I don't know if he knew he was there or not, but he's getting some damage down. Trying to get some help from Sloth, hops back over. Captor maybe looking to keep the fight going. Hawkster in the area now too. Has some support and the fight's going to back off.
Yeah, I mean, just continuing to try to starve out Urgottem Poseidon at this point, trying to get what neutral camps they can, whatever damage they can, because the lower health you are, the less of an impact you can have on the Rift, right? Like, if you're really low health, there's only so much that you can do. And that leaves pressure so that Loki Dosi is going to be able to get more damage onto that tower, able to get more CS. That could have been potentially a play to go towards Baron with 2 members of the opposing team dead, but now maybe looking to go for an engage on Oleos.
No wave to back up the dive here. It looks like nothing's going to happen, but like you said, doing a great job of starving the jungle, doing a great job of keeping the pressure up. You've got Victor isolated on the top side now. His teleport is down, so if there's a fight, it's going to likely go the way of Virtue Gaming here. And they are starting to bring members up towards that there, and you see Chapanya Fan, you've got Captor. Oh, they're going to start resetting. Okay, I was like, you see everybody start moving up towards that Baron right now. I was getting excited for it, but they are going to go ahead and reset here.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the right option because there's probably some items that are ready to go. And speaking of items, this is an opportunity to talk about maybe the error for Perigi and all of the gold that he had. He picks up Sterak's Gauge item 2. Now, the shield and the Omnivamp and the power that Sterak's Gauge brings to the table was indeed nerfed in the early to mid game for a lot of these champions. The actual health that you get, or the shield that you get, is based off of a different stat entirely, and it scales better the longer that the game goes on, which relegates it more to a 3rd item or maybe even a 4th item opportunity rather than a 2nd item play. Death's Dance, on the other hand, great 2nd item, I think, at this point, because not only does it shield magic damage, but it also, or physical damage, but it also deals armor and resistances towards magic damage now as well. So I think a good pickup here. I think Captor getting the better end of that deal. We'll see if maybe that pays off in the next crucial team fight with this next dragon, potentially Soul, for Ambition in the next 20 seconds.
Speaking of a crucial team fight, we're going to get one here. Chapanya Fan maybe looking to blow up Terry. Caught out a little out of position here, so if they decide to pinch, it could be a rough day for the Akali. But like you said at the beginning of the game, the patch notes are really going to be what wins the game, as it really very genuinely is Captor who is taking advantage of the changes on the items. We've got the side of Urgottem Poseidon draking down this drag, but now we've got a fight breaking out. Chapanya Fan going in. Lee Sin is able to lock it up. 9 Soul over to the side of VGA, but now you've got every single member of Poseidon falling here. Aurelios trying to get away. The damage comes through. Flashes over, and that's Terry. He basically sacrificed Aurelios just to stay alive there. Trying to jump around, keep him alive, maybe give him a shield, but you've got Hawkster in the area. They're going to follow this up. This is very likely going to be a team ace as they are continuing this fight. Aurelios going to fall. Captor wants to keep it going. The knockup comes through. The flash comes out, and that's going to be a team ace, a double kill going over to Captor there in that fight.
And with the next member, or with 3 members dead for the next 10 seconds or so, this is going to be inhibitor mid falling, and maybe even Inhibitor in the bot lane falling as well. Skinless Ape and Akalor are going to do what they can to try to defend it, but great play there from I think from number 2 Ginger, getting a beautiful flank onto the rest of the team. Lokidosi is in trouble though.
Going in, making a fight happen. Capture and Chapani fan looking to make some dives here. The root comes through onto the Jinx. Skinless going to get blown up. Now Sloth taking some damage. Alcalora trying to back off. Alcalora, again, the only one left on the Rift. They're kind of low, but you've still got 40 seconds down for 2 members of this team. They are going to take the reset here, and this could definitely be the beginning of the end. It felt like there was maybe a little bit of something for the side of Urgottem Poseidon to grasp onto here, but as I'm looking, it's just falling through their fingers. There's not much for them to do. They got that Drake a moment ago. Is that the seed for which they'll grow a win out of?
No, I no. I mean, I'm just gonna be real with you. I think that with the 12,000 gold lead in a master level game, like, teams just don't lose games at this point. I mean, I really knock on wood here. I'm knocking on wood for Virtue Gaming Ambition, but I really don't think that teams lose games at 12,000 gold because of just how much damage that Campania fan and utility that Campania fan has. Lokidosi 10-2-6, Gale Force Infinity Edge Rapid Fire Cannon, and is almost on his way to Lord Dominic's regards. He's going to be pretty unstoppable here. You've got the extra resistances for Campania fan on the Hextech Rocket Belt along with the Zonia's Hourglass. It doesn't even matter that number 2 Ginger is 0, 3, and 6. He's got 2 items, Riftmaker into the Gnasher's Tooth, and she can just push wherever she wants, and they're going to be able to melt through Baron, and there's very little that Urgottem Poseidon can do. They maybe are going to try to contest it, but Campania fan is not sniffed out here, and this could be a big play.
Lane in the side here, looking to make a move. Is going to get onto Skinless Ape. We can't see the fight going down. Baron does go over to the side of VGA. And it's going to be Alorios absolutely getting demolished there. Skinless Ape did get picked up by Chapani fan. Alcalora uses the ult to try and get some distance between Chapani fan, but now the curtain call comes through. Not going to connect, but it does not matter. There it is. The kill comes through, and that was a hefty amount of damage coming out of Lokidosi there. And now this is going to be the end, as all 5 members of the side of VGA with the Baron buff decide to come in here. Victor try and kill a little bit of time. Sloth will fall. Did Gwen go golden in the turret? Yeah, Gwen dove in a little too late, but that's okay. The end is nigh.
Sure is. Congratulations to Virtue Gaming Ambition. They will take game 1 in this best of 3 series versus Urgottem Poseidon. Now, because they do end up getting game 1, that does give them that, match point. They should be feeling pretty good, but you can't deny how well the team played on a technical level. Hawkster 5-0-21. For sure, the player of this game.
Absolutely.
Yes, Hawkster got those early game kills, but the fact that he was able to convert that into extra damage and into extra plays was just so powerful. The extra movement speed from the Shurelias actually allowing for that gravity field that Sloth had to be kind of a non-factor there, which for a 1-7-5 Sloth right now for Victor just means that she doesn't really pack that much of a punch. And at the end of the day, the fact that she was able to be so impactful in the game, 26 out of 31 kills, means that the rest of the team was able to play the game and play to their strengths. So congratulations again to Virtue Gaming Ambition. They got to win game 2, though, to make this a sweep if they want to be able to keep their flawless record in the Victorious Triumph series.
And I believe they can do it based on how they played. I'm excited to see how some of the bans in this next pick ban phase are influenced. Are we going to see the Xin Zhao taken off? Are we going to see the Karma maybe early picked on the side of Urgottem? I want to see how this mini meta develops within the series here. But definitely looking forward to try and see Urgottem step up and maybe make this a best of 3 series. But VGA is certainly looking really good there in that game and making it hard to argue that any other way besides a win for them in game 2.
I'm excited to see what they decide to go for in terms of changing up with the draft. Let me get confirmation from our producer. Shout out to Benjamin's letting us know whether or not we are going to be taking a break or not. Okay, sounds good. So thank you again to Benjamins for letting us know. If you guys have not done so already, give him a shout out in the chat. He is a phenomenal observer and a phenomenal producer. He is definitely, worth his weight in gold.
We appreciate you, Benjamins.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break before we get into draft for game number 2, and we'll be right back.
And welcome back to Virtue Gaming's channel as we get into this Victoris Triumph series. Best of 3 between Urgottem, Poseidon, and Virtue Gaming Ambition. If you missed it, the last game went heavily on the side of Virtue Gaming. I'm Charles Olro, with me is Moose, and we're going to get into the second game right now. Tell us a little bit about what you think, Moose. How'd that last game go?
I mean, the last game went about as good as you can go for Virtue Gaming. You got Loki Dosi had a phenomenal triple kill with that curtain call, and unfortunately just the early game just going so well for Virtue Gaming. And once again, Virtue Gaming is going to be putting a ton of I think they're going to be putting a lot of emphasis on making sure that he is comfortable in playing whatever he wants to go for. And they are first picking Aphelios here. It's not like if I were a draft or whatever it may be, I wouldn't necessarily think that an Aphelios first pick is the right call. I think that there's just so many ways that you're able to then get that countered. But Urgottem and Poseidon, they've decided to go with the Ezreal here, so they don't pick an early game champion. I think that at this point, maybe Caitlyn would have been a great choice to go up against the Aphelios, but they're going to pair it with the J4, which I do agree with. I think that that's a great jungler and hasn't lost his power in 12.3.
No, I love Jarvan because just his wombo combo with so many different champions and his mobility for a jungler just allow him to do so much. And I like the Ezreal pick. After last game, I think you want a champion that offers a little more self-peel as well. And Ezreal is going to offer that to give, Skinless 8 a little bit of autonomy when he's in lane and in those team fights to be able to position where he wants to be, and to have some escapes in case he goes up against another Kali on Chapani fan or something like that where he just needs to get away. But they're going to lock in the Victor, so ignore what I just said.
Yeah, I mean, with the Victor being available, it's a good B2, B3, I think. Getting the Viego lined up now, who has Heartbreaker to be able to get away from Cataclysm, but then also keep up with wherever Skinless Ape is going to try to go for is definitely a good call. My only concern right now for Urgottem Poseidon is that ganks are going to be so difficult for them to pull off bot lane. Yes, you do have the dredge line from the Nautilus, but if it doesn't land, if the dredge line doesn't land, or if VJ is able to pick up the Thresh, those ganks are going to really be mute here, and it's going to be really difficult for them to find it, which really surprises me that Virtue Gaming Ambition decided to pick up the Victor B3. I think that a better pickup would have been that Thresh because of how important that Lantern and Dark Passage can be. You pick up the Victor, it's going to be really stable once he hits level 9. So you're playing towards that mid game a little bit more here. And they're banning on some of these champions that could really kind of mess up their mid game, the Aurelia and the Akali.
And the Orianna insta-locked after this ban phase on the side of Urgottem Poseidon. They think that's the answer for the Victor here. Obviously, we'll get to see. I love Orianna. I play her in the mid lane a lot, so I think she's got a lot of utility in team fights. I think she's got a lot to offer in the mid to late game especially. We see the Nasus hovered. We'd love to see it. But yeah, I'm surprised that Thresh wasn't locked in earlier as well. It just pairs so well with the Aphelios that it makes sense, and you normally see that get locked in quickly, that to allow it to get banned, they must have something else in their back pocket that they're hoping to execute on here.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, now they get to go for this B5 support pick. The Gragas is there, the Yuumi is hovered, but there's so many other options that they can go for. I think that they do need something more frontline. Braum would be a great choice, and so that is going to be the play here. So you are triple frontline. And now Urgottem Poseidon has a chance to pick up the Gwen. I think that that's really a valid choice here, and really the best choice for the lineup that they've got. Got some great ball delivery systems. The J4 and the Gwen. Needlework can deal a massive amount of damage in the Cataclysm if they're able to find multiple members in it. Only issue that you have is going to have a pretty solid front line to be able to keep. The Gragas can get out of the Cataclysm, use Body Slam. The Braum can also get out of the Body Slam. Stay with me or something like that. I forget the actual name of the ability, but he is able to dash out of the Cataclysm as well. So in order for the Cataclysm to be effective, you've got to be able to get it on to the Aphelios and the Victor, who are going to be relatively safe in the back line. So you're really looking to see if Nautilus can find the depth charge. If Jarvan has to go for the flag and drag into the Cataclysm, it's going to be a little bit difficult for him to be able to get there. However, if they get it, if they find it, the ball is going to come in. It's going to be a big shockwave. It's going to be big needlework, big true shot barrage, and it's going to be a ton of damage. But you've got to be able to execute. You've got to be able to land those kill shots.
It always comes down to execution, right? You can have the best team in the world as far as the champions with the most buffs. You can have the most point and click without having to hit skill shots. But if you're not able to execute on it, if you don't have the communication, the setup around it, it doesn't matter. So I definitely want to see how these teams decide to go at it. Just looking at it, quick snapshot, I got to go with Urgottem Poseidon on this one, just because I really do like that J4 Orianna combo that you can have in some of these team fights. If he's able to get that Cataclysm and then hit the Orianna there, it's going to be a rough time for some of those champions. The Aphelios, the Viega, the Victor, all relatively squishy, going to have a hard time with surviving that, especially if you layer an Ezreal all across that with some needlework. In a team fight, it really could go the way of Urgottem Poseidon. On the flip side, though, if you've got the Braum to disengage, the Victor to help disengage, and the Gragas to help disengage on that side, then that might be their answer for that.
I think that Virtue Gaming Ambition actually, I think, has the better draft here.
Okay.
With just ease of access to your damage dealers is going to be a little bit easier, I think, for them to be able to pick up the Orianna. I think they can build more magic resisty as well, because the Ezreal, well, effective isn't going to be like the massive damage dealer that you need in order to get some of these squishier targets down. And you've got plenty of frontline to be able to defend against that. And other than needlework and shockwave, you don't necessarily have a lot of AoE that's going to be able to get it unless you're able to land that true shot barrage. So I think that Virtue Gaming Academy, they're playing towards the mid game. They're playing towards being able to get either a really early Rift Herald or really being able to deny access to the dragon stacking and make it difficult for Urgottem Poseidon to be in a position of power come Baron spawn, because Virtue Gaming just has so many spikes. Once the Aphelios get second item, once the Victor gets second item, that it's going to be really tough for them to be able to deal enough damage in time to get them taken care of. Urgottem Poseidon, they have to have a really strong early game, and I mean it, a really, really strong early game. First Dragon, first Rift Herald, first Blood, all really need to go towards Urgottem Poseidon. If they get it, they should have a really good opportunity to be able to get into this game. But seeing how well the early game was played by Virtue Gaming Ambition in game 1, I'm expecting to have a similar success in keeping the early game at bay in game 2.
And I mean, that's a good call. On the side of Urgottem Poseidon, they did get first blood last time. They were not able to do that with the Drake and the Rift Herald, which are 2 of your 3 big criteria for them to be able to get ahead here so far. So we'll have to see how it goes. I will say this, though. Virtue Gaming looked so good last time that even though I do low-key think that Urgottem Poseidon has a great team setup so far, I will not be surprised if VJ is able to get the lead early. If they're able to get that first Drake, that first Rift Herald, get some gold into the pockets of their carries and start that snowball again. They did it so well last game, and even when Loki Dosi was behind and Hawkster was the carry for a while, eventually they started getting that gold where it needed to, and it was just GGWP, as you said earlier, for them. So we're going to have to see how it goes in this game too. Before we go to break, any initial gut checks or anything else that we want to review over these teams?
No, I think that we've got pretty much everything covered here. I'm excited to see if we do get to a game 3 situation. I'm always a proponent of more League of Legends action to come through, but Virtue Gaming, I mean, I'm sure they've got lives outside of this tournament series. They want to be able to take this 2-0, keep their record at a 2-0 within the first 2 weeks so that they move into week 3, potentially being a front runner in the league. So really important game for them and an opportunity to close it out now.
Well, we are going to get into game 2 here between Urgottem Poseidon and Virtue Gaming Ambition. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we will get into game 2 here shortly. right, and welcome back to Game 2 of Virtue Gaming vs. Urgottem Poseidon for the Victoris Triumph Series. I'm Charles Elroy. With me is Moose, and we are getting into Game 2. Both these teams looking to 5-point out onto the map. Do we see anything crazy with the rune summoner spells, anything like that at all?
Nothing that I'm seeing over on the side of Urgottem Poseidon. Looking over on Ambition, I think that everything seems correct. I wouldn't say that I'm mad at any of the picks here. Airy obviously is really good for Victor. Sloth picking up the Airy as well, so looking for a little bit more of that penetration early on. But I mean, other than that, the big play here is Loki Dosi decided to go with the exhaust rather than the heal. So that is a no heal bottom lane, which could potentially be a little bit scary. But I think Loki Dosi is more worried about making sure that if he does get peeled onto, if he does get a hit from Aloyos or Parayi, or even, you know, Sloth gets into the area, that could be why he decides to go with that exhaust, and Hawkster instead picking up that ignite. He's just trying to be able to survive and be able to get back into a good position, because most likely he will be going Gale Force. He'll have the chance to be able to disengage after he drops that exhaust, and so he should be able to get relatively safe. So I think the exhaust pick again alludes to the fact that they are working towards that mid game and trying to be as successful as possible to be able to get those early objectives, those early major objectives when they can.
And that makes sense. Plus, there's a lot of respect that needs to be given to the amount of CC and just both hard and soft CC that's coming out of the side of Urgottem Poseidon, right? You've got the flag and drag with the knockup on the J4. You've got the slow that can come out of Sloth, and then obviously the shockwave that comes through at level 6. You've got the dredge line. You've got the ult coming out of Nautilus. You've got a lot that can go down onto that Aphelios, and with how strong Loki Dosi was in game 1 on the Jhin, I expect that they want to try and slow this Aphelios down as much as possible in game 2, just so that he's not able to do exactly what he did last game.
I also expect that that Virtue Gaming Ambition decides to put Hawkster on key support so that he doesn't steal away those kills like he did in game 1. You know, he was pretty powerful. 5-0 and 21. Pretty tough for this Braum to beat. I expect him to be less impactful than he was in game, or here in game 2, but still, you know, pretty important. The extra stacking CC that he's able to get, finding good glacial fissures as well, especially up against a 3-man front line for VJ, or for not for VJ, pardon me, for Urgottem Poseidon is going to be, I think, pretty powerful as well. But we'll see what he's able to do with it. We'll see when they do decide to move in for their first little bit of a foray. Now, I do also want to point out that Skinless Ape has opted to go with the longsword rather than the tier, has not paid his tier tax yet, and is worried about maybe some potential early game shenanigans, and picks up that longsword to be able to be keeping up with the damage that Loki Dosi could potentially go for.
And here's Sloth trying to get that Victor to back off that wave a little bit. Both junglers pointed out start on the top side, so we will expect them to maybe fight over Scuttle here around the 315 and bounce into each other for an early little fight down in that bot side here. Besides that, we've got Ezreal, strong push up about a wave or so into Loki Dosi, just trying to deny as much of that gold that they can here.
I think the expectation for Capture in this one is that he's just going to go specifically for a full clear and forfeit the first Scuttle Crab over to Parayi. Because of the pushing that Skinless Ape comes for, they've got to be careful with that. But they are looking to potentially go in for an invade against this very weak Viego early on. Let's see if they're able to hit it.
There comes the flag and drag. They're going into it. Capture taking some damage. You've got Conqueror procced. The smite comes through. They're looking to follow up. Skinless Ape a little bit alone here, but they are going to be able to try and get the pinch on the Hawkster and Loki Dosi. Alcalor taking some damage. The ignite comes down. You've got Sloth to throw on this too. It's a 4v4. There's the knockup on the Chapani fan. Flash gets away. First blood goes over to Terry Yee. just like last game, the first blood goes over to Terry Yee, but now the follow-up coming through. Hawkster getting chased down, gonna fall here as well. You've got Loxy Doxy trying to take it in, he'll fall, and Captor very low, gonna get pushed out. That's 3 kills going over to the side of Urgottem Poseidon here, 2 of which went on to Terry Yee. So again, the jungler taking a little bit of that gold, but now you've got a kill on to Skinless Ape. Not how you want to get that started. One of the check marks for you to get Urgottem Poseidon into a winning position. Check.
Yeah, big play there. And, really recognizing how powerful Perry on this J4 is in the early game. Captor, not really mobile, not really effective until he gets to that level, until he actually gets Heartbreaker. And Campani's going to die, I think, again here, which is really tough.
He's going to get traded over there. Now you've got Chapani going into Terra Lee, the fight continuing down. It is going to be a 1-for-1 trade on the mid laners, but Chapani at least making it worth his while and getting that kill onto Orianna.
I mean, I still gotta critique Champagne fan there for his contributions towards Urgottem Poseidon in that first fight. The only reason why Urgottem Poseidon was able to get those kills is because Champagne fan tried to go for the flank all alone. Yes, he gets the gravity field down, but he doesn't become a threat until he gets level 9, right? Like, until he gets that enhanced laser and until he actually has those early items, he's really not going to be putting in a lot of damage. And at that point, all he had was the corrupting potion damage to give them a little bit of that extra oomph along with Airy. And unfortunately, in that 4v4, Sloth's going to be able to outdamage you. And when you're all alone and being able to be the sole target for Skinless Ape and Perry, you're gonna fall and you're gonna die. So yes, good on him to be able to get the kill onto Sloth. He does, however, not have teleport, so he loses a little bit of CS in the process as well, continuing to trying to trade, but it's definitely a great start here for the side of for Urgottem Poseidon, and they're going to see if they can continue to keep that pressure going with the first dragon spawning.
Yeah, it's up on the map. You've got J4 making his way down, pinging that he maybe wants to get a gank off here in the bot lane and then rotate over. I do want to point out, only 6 minutes in, even less than 6 minutes, almost a 2,000 gold lead over on Urgottem Poseidon. So they do feel very good about where they're at right now. Fight coming down, Viego in the area as well. Let's see what happens here. Hawkster out of position, but Wakora taking the damage early and then going to get blown up there. Captor able to secure the kill. Support for support. Now you've got some damage coming down on the Skinless Ape. Gonna very likely fall here, but is able to try and get away. Nope, she'll fall too. Now Captor looking to come in and follow up. Will get killed by Terry Yee. Beautiful job, Terry Yee, looking at just turning this over, but that's gonna be Loki Dosi getting the kill over on Terry Yee as these teams just trade over kill for kill, back and forth till the last man standing is that Aphelios.
Great targeting from Virtue Gaming Ambition. They knew that they could burst down Akilora and this Nautilus, and once you burst Akilora down, Captor was able to use the soul to get the Nautilus Dredgeline and the root onto Skinless Ape. Skinless Ape falls, and very close play there. Perry almost getting the kill onto Loki Dosi, but that exhaust coming in to play.
Look here in the mid. Alakora looking to get it. The dredge line comes through. You've got Terry Yee in the area. Sloth relatively low, is able to lock up that kill. Might trade it over. No, just going to barely escape. So that is going to be a kill going over to the side of Urgottem Poseidon if they lock up the Chapanya fan. And Sloth is able to go ahead and dip out of there with just enough life to back.
Yeah, and barely being able to survive that one for Sloth, and unfortunately missing that play there. Skinless Ape gets so chunked out of that one, and now is going to be a pretty tough position in the 1v2 there. But again, Champagne fan getting dove on the target in this one, making sure that this mid game is going to be as weak as possible for Virtue Gaming Ambition. Now the shutdown that Loki Dosi was able to get is pretty big, and he decides to go for a very early Vampiric Scepter. Does that mean that he wants to go for a Immortal Shield Bow build? Potentially. maybe looking to go for a little bit more sustain, which would play into the exhaust that he decides to go for, trying to play it as safe as possible, trying to sustain as much as possible in these fights. That just goes to tell me that Virtue Gaming, they are planning on having a very long, drawn-out fight. They are planning to go the long haul in these plays and being able to out-sustain them in the long run here.
I think it makes sense. You've got to give respect to the amount of damage that's coming out of this side of Urgottem Poseidon, where they're at. You've already got the exhaust. You've shown respect for the amount of CC they have. You've got to show respect for the amount of dive that comes through as well. And so I think that you've got a great pick with that Vampiric Scepter coming out of Loki Dosi there, just to try and give him some sustain in this lane.
This could actually be a pretty big gank for them if they wanted to go for it. On the side of Virtue Gaming, you see Capture in the area, does have Heartbreaker ready to go. I think that if Loki Dosi still had Chakram charges there, they go for that play because it's so good. You're able to get so much damage if you can find the Heartbreaker Stun and get everyone together into that Moonfall. But instead, you get the Severum and the Calibrum, probably not the best pairing to go with on that Moonfall, and so they decide to back off. Because of that double kill and the shutdown that Loki Dosi was able to get, that was a 600 gold additional shutdown there for the kill onto Perigi. Pretty big for Loki Dosi, and he's gonna be feeling pretty powerful in this fight now, especially since level 6 is there.
Yeah, he's not afraid to step up here, put out some damage, especially like you mentioned, that shutdown gold just makes him feel that much better in lane. Ezreal finally paying the tier tax, got it stacking up on his end now as well. I want to point out this Gwen up 10 CS into the Gragas. She's been doing a good job. Not too much has happened up here in the top side, though. It's been kind of just a quiet little top laner bonking each other on the head and walking away in CS in the party.
Well, I mean, number 2 Ginger has the chance to go 2-0, but Perigi now maybe in trouble here.
Perigi, Captor, both kind of battling out here in the river. Alios going in, looking to make some damage. That is going to be the ult used to provide some self-peel for number 2 Ginger to get away. Stuns coming through left and right over on the side for Terry and Sloth. They get locked up there, and that is going to be a lot of damage coming down onto Urgottem Poseidon as they walk away from that trade. None the better for it.
Great dredge line from Akalora to be able to deny the damage or the potential stun and the knock-up there, able to get back to tower. Shockwave's going to land, though, a lot of damage.
Coming through, the dive goes down, and that's going to be Orianna getting burst down. Turret shot after turret shot comes through, and it will be Captor that falls there as well. 1-for-1 trade in. That dive didn't go as well as they had hoped. If I'm not mistaken, Nautilus was able to lock him down a little bit so that extra turret shot landed. Was that correct?
Yep, absolutely. The passive there from Akalora being able to get the root onto Captor, and because he's the weaker Orianna at that point, he doesn't actually have the resistances to survive massive turret shots. And something interesting here, for Captor, even though Divine Sunder has gotten a little bit changed, then in the past, he's still deciding to go for it. The argument now can be said that Trinity Force is the better item of the 2 Sheen items that Capture could possibly go for. He gets extra attack speed, he gets extra plays, and now Companion may be in trouble here.
He's going to be okay. It looks like he's just going to run right back under turret, maybe trying to blow a flash there or something, but Braum was in the area to provide additional support. Not too scared. They are trying to keep Terry Yee up here near this Rift Herald so they can try and make a play, but it looks like it's going to be Captor that gets the positioning here in the river and might be trying to make it.
Check the positioning and where Skin This Ape decides to go. If he decides to go bottom lane, they may be not looking for a play, but they do find the damage onto Ailos, and now he's in trouble.
He's trying to get out of there. The stun comes through, and that's going to be a kill going over to Captor. Now finds himself 3-2-2, feeling pretty good, and they are going to turn this into a Rift Herald almost certainly.
Oh, definitely. Now with Perigi in the bot side of the Rift, there's even nobody being able to contest it. Companion fan is in trouble, going to get hit by the root.
Comes over. Alora trying to keep him in the area. He's able to do it. Damage coming down. Sloth barely going to be able to survive. Captor in the area. Flash comes through, able to survive and get out of there. Great job from the side of Urgottem Poseidon there to stay alive and get that kill. Looking to re-engage. Alakora hits the Hawkster. Hawkster gets the knock-up as well. Damage coming through. has to flash just to stay alive. Terry continuing the fight going, hasn't gotten the kill yet. There it is. It's a 2-for-0 trade. 4 members from the side of Urgottem Poseidon here now. The ult comes through for Ezreal. It's 3-for-0. Double kill going over onto Terry. Number 2 Ginger trying to stay alive here. Gwen keeping the fight going. And now you're in a position where it's going to be Urgottem Poseidon that are very likely going to be able to get this Rift Herald as the tides have turned.
Alkalora saving the day. Truly there in that a full exchange. So the beginning of that fight, you get the kill onto Aloios, and now you have the advantage topside. However, Alkalora finding the Hex Flash into the dredge line on to Campania Fan makes sure that he dies, and on top of that, Capture deny or stops hitting the Rift Herald. They don't even go for it anymore and tries to maybe avenge Campania Fan by getting the kill onto Sloth, but misses it. Nice flash from Sloth, keeps him alive, and unfortunately, not only does that mean that you lose potentially getting that first Rift Herald, but you give Urgottem Poseidon the momentum back in the game. They have the opportunity to go for the second dragon. They have the opportunity to potentially also extend this gold lead a little while longer. But this opportunity is also there for Ambition to potentially go for this dragon with several members here for both teams.
Yeah, we've got 4 members. It looks like Victor's going to roam back to mid lane, so it's going to be a 3v4. This could be Virtue Gaming opting to just let the Drake go at this point, as it does look like Captors are just going to walk away, and they are going to sieve this one over. We were talking about this a little bit during the break. Mental, right? After the game went so south so quickly for the side of Urgottem Poseidon, you've either go one of 2 ways. You either really try and answer back, or you're just mega tilt and FF before the game starts. It looks like Urgottem Poseidon have decided to go with the first and are really trying to get in here and punish VGA. We've got a fight going on now. Teleport comes through. Gragas in the fight. Hawkshark pretty low. Damage coming down on the Sloth. The ult comes through, and that's going to be Orianna taken out of here. Alakora trying to get away with that dredge line, uses it just to peel, but that is some damage coming down. The knockup comes through. Loxi trying to follow up, and it is just going to be a single person trade over for Sloth to fall there.
Yeah, great initiation, attempt initiation there from Perry. Got the flash out of Lokidosi to get him out of the Cataclysm, but had the control and tried to be able to pick up that kill. Unfortunately, the reinforcements arrived in time. Number 2 Ginger finding the teleport. Captor being able to get down to the side of the rift, or get over to the bot side of the rift quickly to be able to go in for that extra damage and that extra power. So all in all, really solid performance there from Virtue Gaming Ambition, not to lose anyone in that fight and alleviate some of the pressure.
And a really good job from the Victor to roam up and make sure that Gwen is not able to continue to just get bigger and bigger without having Gragas there to answer. I really liked that. It was just a smart little answer. That's in the elo that I play in, communication is not as big of a factor as it should be. So I love it when you get to see teams at these high levels really show that they are cohesive and working together like that. It's just fun to watch them play at this level.
Now, I mean, looking at the gold lead right now for Urgottem Poseidon, 2.6k, that it is a gold lead, but don't let it fool you. Like, they do have the 2 dragons. They weren't able to get that first Rift Herald, and even if they get it now, they're not going to be able to get that turret plating. I think that Virtue Gaming Academy at this point is in a really good position. You've got a Mortal Shield Bow online now for Lokidosi. You've got the Turbo Chem Tank available, as well as the fully stacked tier for number 2 Ginger. Like, things are looking really up right now for Virtue Gaming Ambition. They've just got to continue to stay strong here and react to the next play that Urgottem Poseidon goes for. After that, if it remains even, if it remains this gold lead that we see now, this might be good, but it looks like a play is happening here at the Rift Herald.
Terry tries to get engaged, goes to get engaged, knocks down Campania Fan. You've got Terry getting traded over. It's a 1-for-1. Aloha trying to get away, taking some damage. They're looking to get the kill. They're completely ignoring Alois. There goes the fight, and it's going to be a 2-for-0 trade. Now you've got Captor falling as well, and that is going to be Urgottem Poseidon just running through that fight, getting 4 kills for 2, and they feel pretty good about the way that went. Nice little sidestep. Does use the flash to get out of the way of the moonfall there from Lokidosi, and is now looking to trade it over. The exhaust comes through. This is going to be that is going to be Skinless Ape getting the kill on Loki Dosi, as it really looked like it was going to go the other way around there for a moment.
Big turnaround. That was not a fight that Virtue Gaming Ambition needed to take when all of your damage and all of your power is really focused on Loki Dosi being there. You did not have to go for that Rift Herald, and because Skinless Ape was able to win the 1v1 as well, flashing away the Moonfall, that just creates an even bigger advantage here for Urgottem Poseidon. That is a big momentum shift that can be recovered upon, but now you seed the Rift Herald, you seed map control, and most likely, since it's a Cloud Drake, you seed this third dragon of the game, which definitely puts you behind the 8-ball here. You have to wonder, had Loki Dosi been in that last fight, it might have gone over to the side of Virtue Gaming Ambition.
Definitely, but then you got to think, Ezreal, would he have roamed up, or would he have stayed in lane, maybe gotten first turret gold as opposed to allowing it to go over to Aloyos and continue to just get bigger and bigger, because he is starting to hurt now too.
Oh, he's big. He's absolutely strong right now. The Trinity Force and just the power that Trinity Force now has, because it also got buffed in this last patch. It's the obvious build path at this point. I think for a lot of players that wanted to go Divine Sundra like the Ezreal, you now go for the Trinity Force and you just get so much extra value out of it. It's a no-brainer. And he's also been able to pick up the Muramana as well. Like, he is powerful. He is strong because he was able to get that shutdown on to Loki Dosi as well. So he's not even worried about boots. He still has level 1 boots at this point. He's just worried about getting that damage in and just keeping up with Loki Dosi and seeing the plays and seeing where everything is at right now. Looks like Virtue Gaming Ambition seeding Dragon number 3.
And it's obviously working. They're up over 5,000 gold at 20 minutes in. They're up 3 Drakes. They've got first turret. We talked a little bit about it. I'm going to throw it out there. They got first turret, they got first Drake, they got first blood, and they got first Rift Herald. Urgottem Poseidon is in the position to put some damage down. VGA looking to make a pick here. Sloth flashes over, is still going to get killed. Beautiful job from the side of VGA to lock that down on that Orianna.
That's what you've got to do here for Virtue Gaming Ambition to get back into this game, is find these picks and try to get whatever momentum you can back on your side of the Rift. You're going to lose towers, you're going to lose control of certain points of the map, but if you can find picks and you can out-rotate your opponent, it's a different story, but that helps you huge.
Beautiful blind shot comes out of Alakora there, gets onto Loki Dosi, the flash comes through, the turnaround goes down, they are trying to get this going, follow-up coming through, Alakora going to get away just very low there, the root follows through, Skinless Ape trying to get away, nobody really here to follow it up, it is a 4v3, but they are going to manage to get out of there with just barely enough health to keep their screens from going gray.
Good for Loki Dosi to be able to survive, bad for Loki Dosi to not have flash. That's the moral of this story here, because now you've got another 3.5-4 minutes where this Aphelios, this non-Gale Force Aphelios, does not have his only escape option, his only escape tool here in this game. So now you really focus here. You try to play that dance for Baron. You try to be able to get that momentum going in the early game, or not in, I'm sorry, not the early game, but in this mid game near Baron, to try to force it, because right now Loki Dosi, no Moonfall, no Flash, really no hope if he gets hit with a Dredge line.
No, he's just a sitting duck out there, and he doesn't have the same kill he'd have if he had a Thresh or something like that on the map as well. So he's even more vulnerable than you would hope that he would be. We have a fight breaking out here on the top side, River. Nope, just going to go ahead and shake hands and walk away.
I mean, that's the expectation here right now for Virtue Gaming Ambition. They know that they are behind the 8-ball if they try to go for a fight now. I think at this point, like, if I'm looking at comms right now, I'm saying we are trying to outmap the game in order to get us to a point where we can get the Dredge line
Beautiful job. Another huge Hex Flash comes out of Alakora there. The teleport comes through. Gragas in the fight now. Turn it around, and that is VGO making a move on to Urgottem Poseidon. The ult comes through, pushes Skinless Ape out, and they're going to get that pick onto Nautilus.
Yeah, Alcalora, he felt confident again. He said, hey, I'm going to go for that dredge line. And to give him credit, he did get it, but he didn't have the follow-up. Sloth never in a position to be able to land Shockwave and ends up leading to his death because, contrary to popular belief, dredge line actually has a cooldown. So Alcalora just gets stunned out and dies at that point.
No, he gets blown up. He connected it. The initial onset of that play, beautiful. Everything afterwards, a little rough for Alcalora, and he gets taken out there. We've got the VGA team resetting back onto the map. Lord Dominic's now complete onto that Aphelios. And if you're on the side of Virtue Gaming, right? You've gotten a couple picks. You're not totally out of it. That gold lead still hovering at less than 5,000 now, so they've stopped the bleeding. They've kind of shortened that distance up. What are you looking to do to get back into this game if you're on the side of Virtue Gaming?
Recognize that Skinless Ape does not have Flash. Because now the same thing can be said. Loki Dosi will have Flash, and there will be a point in time when Skinless Ape does not. And just look at how much damage Loki Dosi is bringing to the table right now. That Infernum just dashing Skinless Ape's health. And now you have the control to potentially go for this fourth dragon of the game and really making the smart decision of where to expend your resources, whether you maybe try to go for a Baron here, or do you defend against the Cloud Drake that I know on the side of Urgottem and Poseidon they would love to go for. It looks like at this point they are wanting to be able to get this dragon. They do not want to give Cloud Soul over to this team. The extra movement speed would be big for Aloio, Sloth, Skinless Ape, and Alcalora. So that extra movement speed on that ultimate, a huge factor in decision and deciding why they wanted to go for it. And now probably the fight of the game about to initiate here.
Yeah, I agree with you that this is going to be a huge determining factor. I think if the side of VGA, they're looking to get it going right now. Here it comes, the stun lands through, and that is going to be absolutely devastating for Sloth. Just destroyed. You've got Glenn looking to make a flank on the backside of the teleport coming through. Skin safe, a lot of damage. There's the Cataclysm we were talking about. Hawkster low, stun coming through. It is going to be Terry that gets blown up here as well. It's a 5v3. Alios falls as well. This is going VGA's way. Ginger goes gold, and now the core taking some damage. They're making the turret dive. That's going to be an ace. 600 gold going over to that Aphelios. He gets a double kill throughout the fight, and now VGA has tied up the game. Less than 1,000 gold difference, and looks like they might be making a move on Baron here.
Baron and Dragon with that ace. Sloth getting picked out as a mid laner. You do not want to be alone in that brush next to the lane. You have no way to get out of that one unless you flash, and unfortunately didn't think that he was going to need to. Unfortunately, Ginger falls to Baron. Sloth is now maybe looking to redeem himself here with that teleport. Can she find it? She's gonna get rooted.
Gonna get locked down. Just barely misses. Staying alive, trying to get away. The flash comes through. She might be, right now, Sloth is alive, and they are not looking to make a follow-up. The ult comes through, does not connect with anybody, and I do want to point out that Orianna just barely getting away there, but she does manage to survive that little fight there.
But wasting teleport for that and flash for that as well. So not going to have that available if she gets caught out again. But there were two main issues with that fight on the side of Urgottem and Poseidon that we need to address. One, Sloth getting out of position. Great initiation from a Campania fan to land the gravity field into the Chaos Storm. You just get the damage there, and she's dead. The second part of that one was the really strange teleport position that Aloios decided to go for. She teleported so far back into the fight, and she got so late that there was no way that she was going to be able to be impactful in that game. And by the time that she got into the fight, Alcalora was dead. Perrier had already used Cataclysm, and there was nothing that she could do in order to get that beautiful needlework that she needed to be super effective. So unfortunately, that teleport wasted for nothing. So many Celebrant spells used, and really not getting a lot out of that fight for Urgottem Poseidon. Not only gets us back to an even game, but also denies the dragon stacking and gives them Baron. It's not the death march yet, but the mid game now, a win for VGA.
Yeah, they definitely find themselves back in the driver's seat, at least at this point. A huge team fight, like you mentioned. That teleport from Aloios puts him so far back in the enemy jungle. He gets there, 2 members are dead, summoner spells, ultimates burn. There's not much that they can do. They give over the ace there, and then a rough teleport from Sloth, as you said. Flash, teleport, both used, all for what? To distract them and delay it back a little bit? You didn't really do much else there. So it does put Urgottem Poseidon in a weird position where now they've lost the Baron, they've stopped stacking up those Drakes, they're about ready to lose a lot of pressure that they had in the lanes, and you've given a lot of gold over to the side of Aphelios that he is now up in items over this Ezreal. You've got the Victor now completing several items and feeling good. It's really going to be awkward here.
I mean, to bring Urgottem Poseidon's on like to put into credit to where they're due as well. Like they have at least kept the defense up. No inhibitor turrets falling. Only the outer turrets have fallen so far. So this play hasn't coming through. But now they maybe are looking for the initiation here. Let's see if they decide to go for it. Nope, they back away.
Yeah, everybody's going to back away from that and just kind of reset as far as that goes. They do manage to get all those outer turrets knocked down on both sides, so it is relatively equal for the pressure, as you were mentioning, to Urgottem Poseidon's credit. I do want to point out just how strong that Gwen is in comparison to the Gragas now. Setting at 3-2-1, completed 3 items, and is really starting to hurt in these fights, at least when they get there. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that Gwen in these team fights.
Yeah, had Gwen gotten there a little bit earlier, Aloios might have been able to have a really solid team fight, and they might have actually been able to take it. So just a little bit delayed on the play in that last team fight, but now summoner spells are coming up back online for pretty much everybody. And unfortunately for Virtue Gaming Ambition, that Baron wasn't as effective as we wanted it to be, right? We wanted to see inner turrets go down. We wanted to see that pressure stop, but unfortunately they couldn't stop the pressure from Aloios. They couldn't get even an inner turret down. And so, while the Baron is good to get, what do you really get out of that? A couple hundred gold? That's really not the most effective Baron that you wanted, and unfortunately that does give Urgottem Poseidon another position to have another team fight and nab this Cloud Soul and potentially take the game.
It did, for what it's worth, it did get the gold lead back to equal, all things considered. They no longer have that huge deficit that they were setting in, and they do have Prio in this dragon fight in the river, as it's going to be spawning here in just about 25 seconds. So we'll see if they get collapsed on from the side of Urgottem Poseidon, or if they're able to defend and make a move to win the team fight. It's going to come down to this, really, to see what happens here.
Loxidosi does have the Infinity Edge now when the damage coming through, but a lot of damage already on the Sloth.
Yeah, Captor goes in on the Skinless Ape as well on that backline. So now Ezreal, very weak, about half health. The fight comes through. Terry Yi tries to go in, lands the Cataclysm, knockup comes through. VGA is able to turn over the kill and get the kill on Terry Yi. This is going to be another VGA sweep. The Skinless Ape is about ready to fall here as well. They're continuing the fight. Sloth, Alios, both getting pushed out of that fight. It's a 3-for-0 trade. They're looking to make a move here, and this is definitely going to be VGA taking the driver's seat and just going away with it.
Yeah, in the driver's seat indeed. And once again, how difficult it is for Parayi and Alcalor to actually get onto Loxidosi. And once again, another flash out of that Cataclysm, which makes the depth charge really ineffective, as we do get to get a nice barrel to displace everybody. That's going to mean that the inhibitor falls, and now they can back off to a defensive position and pick up their second dragon of the game.
Yeah, they're really starting to play this really well. I mean, they've got the inhib mid, they've got the pressure. Teleport coming through for Sloth, though, and it looks like they might be trying to follow up this fight and try and get this Drake.
Yeah, I mean, there are people here, but Skinless Ape is way far behind. He to drop the True Shot Barrage. Let's see if they get it. Nope.
Nope, the ult doesn't come through. That's the second Drake going over to the side of VGA. It was going to be Braum that falls there. Loxidosi falls. Terry E goes golden. Ginger looking to try and clean this up. It's a back and forth, but it's definitely going the way of VGA. It's a 3-for-0 trade. Capper trying to get on the Skinless Ape. He's going to fall. And now Aloios going to fall here as well. Triple kill for Captor. That's the quadra.
Great job there from Capture. The resets come in, and that will do it. Skinless Ape not in that fight, so another 4v5 situation that results in a VGA win. You have to wonder, had Skinless Ape actually went in with the rest of the team and been there for that fight, they might have been able to finish the job, they might have been able to get the ace, and they might have been able to push in and get this game back to an even play. But unfortunately, Capture gets the resets. Capture takes the quadra kill, and it's VGA that win in Victoria's Triumph Series Week 2 with a sweep against Urgottem Poseidon.
That, as you said, it might have been, and we don't live in a world of might. It is VGA that locks that up. Just a great job. I even started to think that fight was going in the way of Urgottem Poseidon there when they were in the Dragon Pit. The health bars were going very low on the blue side. You started to see people go on golden, and when Hawkster fell, I got really worried that it was going to be a sweep back onto the side of Urgottem Poseidon, but they managed to take out that win, and as you said, the Ezreal just not being in that fight when he needed to be ends up being the huge difference maker. Skinless Ape gets pounced on by the Viego once he arrives, gets the quadra kill. I do want to give MVP over to the Viego for that game. Just beautiful job. Taking a look at the damage as well, that Victor was incredible, just pumping out damage throughout all those fights. Really well played from the side of VGA to get back into the game and get the second win of the series.
Yeah, really big gravity well from Champagne in that Dragon Soul fight to be able to take down Sloth and initiate a team fight that Urgottem Poseidon was not ready for. And that is what won the game for VGA, was initiating fights that they were able to win. And Loki Dosi, I think, in my opinion, for me, is the MVP of this game. He had so many amazing flashes to get out of those cataclysms and made it difficult for anyone to be able to defend against the onslaught of damage that he was able to provide. The exhaust paying dividends for VGA on this Aphelios. The flashes were really, really great, and really a strong performance all in all. But I do want to shout out Urgottem Poseidon. Their ability to really give VGA a run for their toes was definitely there. They had those early game win conditions that I would discuss. They got the Rift Heralds, they got the Dragons, they got the First Blood. But unfortunately, mid-game was where VGA was playing for, and they won the mid-game handedly, which resulted in that late-game ace and the win for Virtue Gaming Ambition.
Yeah, I mean, it really just, it was going the way of Urgottem Poseidon. I felt so good for them on the inside because they felt like they were doing a great job. They had First Blood, they had First Drake, they had Rift Herald, they had First Turret. They were stacking up those Drakes. They were winning team fights. And then, as you said, Loki Dosi just starts getting that ball rolling, starts getting that gold, starts getting those team fights, starts landing those Moonwells, starts really getting going in those team fights. And then I think there was a little bit of player error on the side of Urgottem Poseidon, right? Some of those teleports weren't the best. Some of the expenditures of the summoner spells from Sloth didn't do a great job to get him into position there. The way they kind of staggered into some of those team fights, it really kind of put them on the back foot, and then it was one mistake after another there, and eventually it ends up going over to the side of Virtue Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, again, yeah, congratulations to Virtue Gaming Ambition. And it looks like we've also got an interview here with Loki Dosi. Loki Dosi, how you doing today? Congratulations on the win.
Thank you. I'm doing quite all right.
Quite all right.
Yeah, ever since that Gen R, I've been up good.
Oh, yeah. How did it?
That felt good, right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, it did.
Oh, man. I mean, do you, in that play, was it, I'm just going to predict, were you targeting anyone specifically, or was it just, I'm going to let them rip, I'm going to try to predict where these movements are and go from there, or was it purely luck?
Honestly, I just closed my eyes and just pressed R,
Yeah, that's what I do too.
Let fate take the wheel.
The actual comm was like, so I did my auto Q. I knew my Q was going to bounce to Janna as soon as I threw it. I was like, okay, I have an ulti angle, like a good one. And so I press R, and then Hawkster, who's like, okay, Loki, it's your time. I missed my first R. I literally say, no, it's not. And then I'm my next three. So there's no, I don't know.
Oh
No,
yeah.
The Gragas didn't body block any of them. I think he griefed. I think he like tried walking to one of them. They died.
did.
Walked to the other one, he died. And then the last guy, like he just kind of watched his entire team die around him.
He was a step behind. He tried to go over and body block the Janna at first, put himself out of position for the other two, and he just landed him before he could do anything onto him.
It was funny. I laughed really hard.
I bet you did. Incredible job, by the way, on that Jin. You had almost, I think it was, we looked at it post game, 7,000 gold lead on that Jinx. After the fact, especially after giving a lot of the gold over to Hawkster to get going. Smart play there.
Yeah, totally intentional. No. I mean, that was like my first Jin game in a month, so I'm happy it turned out that way.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, yeah, you feel good getting back in the swing of it.
Yeah.
I guess
can I play Jin? I said, yeah, of course.
I guess now, like, I can ask you because 11.3, or I keep on saying 11.3, 12.3 coming out today, nerfs to Caitlyn. As an ADC, how do you think that shakes up the meta in your league? Like, you're Diamond 1 right now. So, like, is Caitlyn still viable to you, or do you think, like, another marksman is going to take her place?
Honestly, I don't think the changes are that substantial. I don't think it's gonna hurt her too much.
Gotcha.
Because it was 10% off of her secondary enemies. Like the AD scaling is actually nothing. I think the math added up to like 5 less AD at level 18, so it's negligible. Right. All it is like a couple more autos, and a couple more autos on her clear doesn't actually change much. IMO.
Gotcha. Okay, I wanted to get a professional's opinion because I'm actually not good at marksman. Yeah. So now I know for sure. Yeah, go ahead.
I asked my multi-season challenger friend what he thought about the nerfs. He said it does nothing. I was like, okay, thank you.
Perfect. Hey, I'll take that. I'll take that from the challenger, multi-challenger player. So good to know that. And now the fans know as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Loki, you did an absolutely great job in both those games. Like I said, you were a little bit behind at the beginning of game 1, but then you just turned on the afterburners and really got the ball rolling in your favor. And in game 2, you guys, how did you feel at the beginning of that game where Urgottem, Poseidon, they had first blood, they had the first Drake, they had the first rift, they had the first tower. What were the comms like from your guys' standpoint trying to get back into that game?
I think like FF15, the usual. It was I said that, but I think there was never like a moment where people actually like doubted. Well, as soon as we saw the lead transfer into their favor, we knew how we needed to play. We needed to play a little bit more reserved, play our team fight because we knew our team fight was pretty strong, and we ended up getting that window mid lane where we knew Orianna had no flash. We timed her to flash. Our mid laner had a really cracked W on the Orianna. She just got stunned by Victor W. And since she had no flash, we were able to end up steamrolling the team fight. It was really the window that we needed. And we knew that all we needed for it was that one window to make up for the bad early game that we had.
Yeah,
we were talking about that, Moose. Go ahead.
Yeah, at that point, like we were waiting for the moment, like the make or break moment, and I mean, I think that like it was pretty well established that Cloud Soul Drake was going to be, or that Cloud Drake fight was going to be like a make or break moment for you guys. I mean, had the Cloud Drake gone over to Urgottem Poseidon, they would have then been able to really kind of snowball their way into a death march, and you guys maybe wouldn't have been able to recover from that point. But you guys, like you said, really great gravity field to be able to get the Orianna dead from that. I guess my question to you then is, moving into like I've actually kind of forgotten my question here. I don't think I have anything else to say. I just thought it was a really good play.
No, you did incredible throughout both those games. We gave shout out to Hawkster early in that game, really getting some of those early kills. I think empowering you to have some of the freedom and autonomy to do what you needed to get as big as you did. And the same thing on the side of Captor, just really focusing on getting you huge, and then allowing you to just do what you do. You played absolutely incredible. You were cracked the whole time. Really good job in getting those wins tonight. You 2-0'd them. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything you want to say to the fans before you head out?
Oh, I don't know. I kind of want to BM, but I don't think I'm going to because I don't know enough. But apparently, one of the other teams was BMing us. But
Oh no!
I'm sure we'll make them eat their words. That's all I know.
There you go.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by again. Congratulations on the win. I believe you guys are playing again on Friday, so best of luck with that.
Yeah, it looks like you guys are going into Nameless Masters on Friday. You are currently 2-0 in the league, so you're feeling pretty good about where you guys are sitting.
Easy.
Yeah. So we do want to say thank you. This has been Virtue Gaming. You can follow them on Twitch at Virtue Gaming Live. You can follow them on Twitter at Virtue Gaming GG. You can also go over and check out Moose on Twitter, Moosecaster, or myself, Charles Elroy. All of us would love to have your support if you enjoyed what you watched tonight. Other than that, though, any parting words, Moose, before we get on out of here and let everybody enjoy their evening?
Shout out to Benjamins. We couldn't do it without you. The fact that I don't have to be in the match and spectating them is so big money. Poggers 420 Kush. GG play, whatever it may be. Benjamins, you are cracked in your own right. Great observer, and overall just great producer. Thank you guys again just so much for watching. I'll close this out here on behalf of everybody at Virtue Gaming, myself, Charles Elroy, and all that fun stuff. Thank you guys all for watching. See you guys all next time, and take care.